15 spine-chilling stories exposed, haunted secrets from Reddit that will leave you terrified. The neon glow of Sarah Johnson's phone illuminated her weary face as she stumbled home from yet another night shift at the hospital. What if I lose them? A chilling thought clawed at her mind as she set her eyes on the picture-perfect facade of her suburban neighborhood. Pristine lawns, white picket fences, seemingly idyllic. But beneath the surface, whispers of dread slithered through the air like fog. It was there, hidden among the manicured bushes and chirping crickets, that darkness brewed. 15 spine-tingling threads, a headline boasted on her Reddit feed. As she scrolled, her heart pounded in sync with the unsettling tales. Families torn apart, darkness creeping into homes, shadowy figures lurking. "You're never truly safe," the words echoed in her mind as she read on. Stories of pets vanishing, children lost. What was happening in her quiet neighborhood? Then came the legend of a phantom lurking just out of sight, waiting for vulnerable single parents like her. "Do not trust your neighbors," one post warned. "They hide dark secrets." Each tale twisted the knife deeper. She felt a chill run down her spine that the summer night air couldn't explain. The fear crept home with her, heavy like an unwelcome guest. Emma and Noah, just innocent kids, sat on the living room floor, oblivious. A fleeting moment of relief washed over Sarah, but it was short-lived. As she tucked them in that night, the words of the posts haunted her, whispering from the corners of her mind, "What if it comes for them?" Days passed. After a frantic shift, Sarah returned to the house only to find her kids excitedly prattling about their discovery. They'd stumbled upon a hidden room, a space thick with dust and shadows. Inside lay remnants of previous lives, old toys, a cracked mirror, and an ancient diary, its pages stained with dark memories. The accounts grew more sinister with each word she read. Her pulse quickened, the stories echoed her fears, as if each letter had been inked from her very nightmares. Then, one evening, the lights suddenly died. Dread washed over Sarah. She could hear the wind howling, branches scratching against the windows, almost as if something sinister lurked in the darkness. She fumbled for her phone, the low battery warning flashing red like an alarm bell. Panic gripped her as she heard it, a noise, low and unnatural, creeping outside. "No," she thought, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on." The other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. That same footfall echoed again, this time closer. The shadows twisted and contorted into impossible shapes as though alive. "Emma? Noah?" she called, her voice shaking. The response was laughter, disembodied, chilling, slicing through the silence, seeping beneath the door to the hidden room. Her heart thundered. She raced for the door, thoughts spiraling. The safety of her suburb turned into a prison, a trap. As she reached for the knob, icy fingers of dread gripped her. She hesitated. What waited behind that door? The moment she realized this neighborhood wasn't the safe haven she thought, her breathing quickened. The whispers knew her name. In an arch of shadows, her reality warped. She had to confront the darkness, or it would consume them all. Would she dare step beyond the threshold, or let the dark world swallow her whole? The answer was just a heartbeat away. With a trembling hand, Sarah gripped the doorknob. An icy chill surged up her arm, freezing her nerves. A surge of laughter erupted from the hidden room once more, twisting into a mocking echo that reverberated in the stillness of the house. How could her children be playing? She felt their frightened faces in the pit of her stomach. It wasn't joy that spurred this laughter, but something far more sinister. "Emma? Noah?" she shouted again, desperation cracking her voice. She pushed the door open, expecting the dimness inside to swallow her whole. The air grew thick, almost suffocating, as she stepped through the threshold. Her phone's flickering light cut through the oppressive darkness, revealing toys scattered across the floor. Dolls with cracked porcelain faces and stuffed animals with missing eyes that seemed to gaze back at her. The laughter subsided, plunging her into an unsettling silence. "Please," she whispered, wanting to awaken the children from whatever nightmarish trance they were under. The diary lay open on the floor, its pages fluttering like the wings of some trapped insect, as if drawing her closer. She knelt down and greedily scanned the text. "Fear is a whisper," one tired letter read. "Once it enters, it never truly leaves." Each word felt heavy, weighed with a remorse she couldn't comprehend. She shut her eyes, battling dizzying uncertainty as the house felt alive around her, breathing. The shadows twisted, waiting. The phone buzzed in her hand, thrusting her into the present. It was a message from an unknown number. "Look outside." Her heart dropped. How could someone know? Without thinking, she stumbled to the window, flesh prickling with horror. Outside, she saw darkness pooling below every streetlight. It was as if the night itself had thickened, sweeping away the familiar outlines of homes. Her neighborhood was not just quiet, it was watching, waiting. Her senses screamed at her as she scanned for any sign of life. Then she saw them. Dark forms flitted just beyond the streetlights, more shadows than figures, almost human, yet undeniably wrong. They twisted and turned as if lost in an invisible play. They were like the sinister stories she'd read on Reddit, crawling into flesh from the pages of fear. Just as she considered calling for help, a sudden crash pulled her back from the window. Frozen, she turned to the entrance of the hidden room. Someone was there. The outline was indistinct, swaying slightly as though too heavy for the air. A single breath echoed, deep and ragged, sending a jolt through her. Then, silence. Sarah's instinct kicked in. She had to save her children. With determination hardening her resolve, she dashed back toward the living room. "Emma! Noah!" Panic bled into her voice, the urgency raw and unsettling. The whispered laughter returned, sharp and chaotic, but this time it was different, sudden, frenzied. Suddenly, the door that connected to the hidden room swung shut with a bang, the sound like a gunshot in the stillness, echoing the dread coursing through her veins. Gripping her phone, she flashed it toward the door. "What do you want from us?" she yelled, voice trembling but defiant. The shadows didn't answer, but from behind the door, the laughter transformed from lighthearted to taunting. "You shouldn't have come here." Her children's faint giggles began to rise again, mingling with the shadows, pulling her back toward the heart of the looming terror. Every fiber of her being screamed for her to run, to escape this horrific game. Instead, she pressed forward, knowing the quiet lesson found in the diary. She had entered the dark, and now there was no turning back. What fate awaited her children? And the lurking figures outside, were they friends or foes? She had to face the truth behind the door, or risk losing everything. As the door creaked open slowly, the darkness within seemed to breathe back at her, ready to engulf her whole. What if this was just the beginning? The door creaked wider, revealing an abyss where shadows danced like wraiths. The air was colder here, each breath coming with visible difficulty, as though the house itself was inhales and exhales, labored, almost sinister. An unsettling scent wrapped around her, a mix of mildew and something rotten, festering in the corners of her mind. "Emma? Noah?" she called again, voice trembling, feeling the walls closing in as anticipation turned to suffocating dread. The laughter inside abruptly ceased again, plunging her deeper into uncertainty. The room ahead pulsed, alive with an energy that felt distinctly wrong. The flickering light of her phone illuminated something on the floor. Her children's shoes, discarded carelessly among scattered toys. Her heart raced, pounding a frantic rhythm in her chest. A nagging itch of fear began to bloom at the base of her skull. The playthings, their faces seemed to shift, morphing with the shadows that lurched across the ground as she stepped further in. She swallowed hard, forcing her feet to move despite the overwhelming need to flee. It felt like stepping into a nightmare where every darkened corner held a secret. And every groan of the house was a warning. Then a sound echoed behind her, soft, almost playful. "Mommy!" The voices were faint but unmistakable. Hope surged, bright yet fragile, as she pivoted toward the sound, only to find an unbroken silence. A chill prickled at her skin, as if the darkness sought to silence her, to claim her. "Emma! Noah!" she shouted again, urgency clawing at her throat. She scanned the room, heart racing like a trapped animal, praying to see her children appear from the shadows. Instead, only the laughter returned, scaling in volume. It was no longer just laughter, but a cacophony, demonic, jubilant, mocking her desperate plea. As if on cue, the diary fluttered open again, its pages flapping wildly like a bird attempting to free itself from a cage. The words danced before her eyes, each rushing to grab her attention. They play to survive. The price of fear is the price of forgetting. Forgetting? What did she need to push aside? Every instinct screamed she had to remember. But what? She felt the ground shift slightly beneath her. Panic surged as if the very foundation of her home was unsteady, ready to swallow her into darkness. Before she could catch her breath, another noise exploded behind her, loud enough to drown out the laughter. The door to the hidden room slammed shut, echoes reverberating through the air. No longer a door, but a wall blocking her escape. Her fingers trembled against the cold metal of her phone. What lay beyond the door? Was whatever hid inside now watching her, waiting like the crooked figures lurking beyond her window? The shadows seemed to pulse at the edges of her vision, swirling eagerly. Suddenly, the children's giggles erupted again, bright against the oppressive gloom, but now tainted with something sinister, something changed. "Mommy!" they chorused, sweet and innocent, luring her toward the far corner of the room where the air felt thick, almost suffocating. "Stay where you are, I'm coming," she shouted, but felt her own voice tremble in doubt. What if this was the trap? Each step felt both heavy and weightless, a battle between fear and a haunting instinct to locate her children. She pressed forward, ready to reach over whatever darkness awaited her. Then a whisper slithered into her ears from the void, casual yet ruthless. "It's time to join the game." The temperature shifted, a sudden chill wrapping around her twisted heart, locking her into place. What game? She didn't want to play. Just as the shadows began to stretch and curl around her, the laughter burst into a feverish applause, swelling and echoing, drowning out every rational thought. As dread gripped her, she realized she wasn't just a player, she was the prize. And then the words she had feared echoed around her, too loud yet impossibly distant. Find them before they find you. The shadows thicken, the giggling morphed into a chaotic blend of delight and malice. In that moment, She understood it wasn't just her children at risk, it was her very soul. Behind her, something shifted. The door? Something else? The darkness beckoned again, urging her to take that final step into the unknown. What sinister fate awaited Sarah? And the children, were they lost in this new game? As she prepared to leap into the heart of the shadows, a chilling laughter erupted, echoing through the chamber as she stepped forward, ready or not. She took that final step, propelled by desperation and fear, not knowing if she was about to discover a way to her children or spiral deeper into darkness. The shadows seemed to swirl around her as she crossed the threshold, engulfing her in an icy embrace that clawed at her skin. The laughter fell silent as she stepped into a yawning void. A mist hung heavy and shadowy in the air, swaying between forms, twinges of something sinister lurking at the edges just beyond her vision. In the gloom, she felt the world shift, a slight tilting of reality. This wasn't her home anymore. It had transformed into a wretched maze, a carnival of the damned. "Emma, Noah," she called again, her voice barely cutting through the thick silence. Every echo seemed to mock her. The children's voices felt closer, like birds' calls trapped in a cage, yet tantalizingly just out of reach. A flicker caught the corner of her eye, pinpricks of light that twinkled like stars. She turned, hoping against hope that it was her children. But it was only more of those awful toys, each grotesque face grinning at her with wide, eager eyes. They lined the walls, a twisted gallery, painted in gleeful malice. The lights flickered again, a face and a grin twisted into an unnatural impossibility as the laughter surged back to life, hot and mocking. "Mommy!" The voices echoed, deceptive in their familiarity, dripping sweetness that turned her stomach. She staggered backward, hitting the wall, her heart racing as a cold sweat trickled down her spine. It felt like they were teasing her, like captive spirits playing a cruel trick. Her hands trembled on the wall, feeling the chill seep through the wallpaper's peeling remnants, and she pressed against it for support. "Where are you?" she whispered. Another echo bounced through the space, and somewhere deep in her gut, she understood that playing hide and seek here was a game of life and death. A glimmer of movement caught her attention again. Was it them? Panic struck as she turned, her eyes scanning the ethereal shadows. The laughter morphed into whispering chaos, taunting her as shadows curled like snakes, beckoning her to step deeper. "Help us!" came a faint murmur, a desperate cry submerged beneath giggles. Her heart twisted. "Emma, where are you?" Crimson warnings blared through her mind, a fierce urgency urging her to act. "Stay with me!" The laughter erupted again, though now it seemed to shift, as if igniting in her ears. Her skin prickled, hair standing on end. End, as an otherworldly voice broke through the raucous cacophony. "You're too late, Mommy. They belong to us now." Adrenaline surged, and with dread clawing mercilessly at her throat, she pushed toward where the voices called from, a corner thick with shadow. She stumbled, nearly catching herself on a monstrous toy, a disfigured clown with an impossibly wide grin, its button eyes glimmering with malicious delight. A rush of horror coursed through her as she recognized the familiar gray hoodie draped over the clown's arm. It belonged to Noah! "No!" she screamed, bile rising in her throat. Just as she was about to reach for it, the toy shifted, the laughter erupting into a maniacal howl, bouncing off the walls like an enraged animal. The room spun, and shadows pressed closer, visceral and alive. The walls began to pulse as if breathing around her, caging her in a new horror. "Find them before you lose yourself." The voice became more insistent, an ominous reminder that the stakes were rising. "Now!" The shadows seemed to merge, voices swirling together in an unholy choir, melded into something larger and far more sinister. Desperation negotiated with madness in her mind as she clawed back toward the clown, ready to leap into the fray. Just then, a flurry of movement sparked in the corner of her eye, flickers of light illuminating small forms dancing, wreathed in shadow. They were moving closer, voices entreating her, coaxing her to step off the ledge, into the abyss, this time inviting her into their terrible game. "Mommy, come play," they whispered. As the shadows surged around her, she hesitated, fear gripping her once more. What was next? Were her children lost forever? Or was this just the beginning of the horrors yet to unfold? She took a breath and prepared to plunge into the shifting darkness, knowing that whatever awaited her might just shatter her sanity. Will you save them or lose yourself once and for all? The shadows closed in, alive with malice, and she took a tentative step forward, drawn by the familiar whisper of her children. "Mommy, come play." The words danced like smoke, taunting her senses and igniting a spark of hope alongside the overwhelming dread. "Noah! Emma!" she screamed, her voice raw and desperate, echoing through the maze of terror. Each name reverberated against the walls, met with shrill laughter that ricocheted like a broken record, a chorus of mockery feeding off her fear. With each beat of her heart, she felt the ground shifting, a pulse beneath her feet. It felt alive, and each throb echoed the deepening panic in her chest. Those flickering lights beckoned her deeper into the rickety abyss. She pressed forward, her surroundings twisting into darker forms. Shapes loomed near, and shadowy tendrils reached for her, brushing against her skin like icy fingers. Suddenly, the laughter faded, leaving only silence that buzzed in her ears. In it, a gnawing terror wormed its way into her mind. Had they really called to her? Were they trying to draw her into their doom? She felt wood splinter under her fingers as she steadied herself against the wall, whispering a silent prayer that she wouldn't lose herself in this nightmare. Just then, a flicker of a figure darted past her. Ghostly pale, it was gone in a flash. Her heart seized, and for a moment she stood still, waiting for the return of that terrifying grace. Memories flooded back, bedtime stories and cozy nights when their laughter filled the air. Now she felt hollow, as empty as the void that surrounded her. "Emma," she breathed, voice cracking. The name lingered in the air, twisting in the labyrinthine shadows. Without warning, the disfigured clown re-emerged before her, its grin now stretched impossibly wide, revealing sharp, jagged teeth. A sudden pang of rage erupting within her. "You! Get away from my children!" She lunged, throwing herself at the grotesque figure. The clown giggled, a high-pitched sound that made her stomach churn. "But they love it here! Look at all the friends they've made!" It gestured wildly to the still shadows, now forming into wide-eyed toys, their features grotesque yet eerily familiar. "No!" she screamed, but the words were swallowed by the void as the laughter surged again. The once innocent toys morphed into writhing abominations, all joy twisted into malevolence. "Join us, Mommy!" a chorus chanted, their voices slithering through the air, mingling like the serpents of her worst nightmares. Desperation clawed at her, urging her to find her children. It struck her like a jolt. She couldn't resonate with this twisted play. She had to refocus on the path, to delve deeper where the cries truly echoed. Ignoring the taunts, Emma stepped fiercely away from the clown. The darkness shifted, attempting to weigh her down, but she fought against it. "I will find you," she declared defiantly. "I will not let you take my children." As if responding, the shadows writhed, contracting and expanding around her, revealing a narrow passageway leading deeper into the unknown. Would this lead her to Emma and Noah, or would it thrust her further into darkness? Taking a deep breath, she steeled her resolve and stepped forward. "What horrors await you in the heart of darkness, Mommy?" a voice taunted. "Can you uncover the truth, or will you be forever lost?" With that, she plunged into the shadows, every nerve on fire, unknowing if her next move would save her children or drag her into eternal night. The passage pulled her in, narrowing with each step until it was a tight fit, her shoulders brushing against jagged walls. A cold wind whipped around her, sapping her strength and forcing her to struggle for every breath. The whispers grew louder, a deafening chorus of her children's voices overlapping and overlapping, building into a cacophony of dread. "Mommy, help us, please! Where are you?" she shouted, desperation gnawing at her. Her heart thudded painfully against her chest, rhythm echoing within this consuming darkness. Then, there it was, a flicker of light. Just ahead, a small glowing sphere pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, illuminating the corridor with an eerie glow. Hope flared momentarily, urging her to move faster. She reached for it, fingers outstretched, but the shadows twisted, snatching it away just as she thought she had grasped it. "No!" she gasped. Tears streamed down her cheeks, blurring her vision. The darkness thickened, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. In that oppressive space, she could feel the malicious entities lurking close, their breath heavy and rancid. Their intentions seeped into her thoughts, whispering doubts. What if they don't want you anymore? "Shut up," she snapped, clenching her fists. "I'm coming to get my kids." The passage widened, and a sight sent terror coursing through her veins. A carnival lay sprawled before her, warped and surreal. Bright tents fluttered, yet they were distressingly tattered, colors faded like forgotten laughter. The ground was coated in a thick layer of grime, sticky and foul, beneath which the shadows flickered with unsettling life. "How strange," she murmured, stepping hesitantly forward. Each footfall sent shivers crawling up her spine, the laughter of the carnival grating against her senses. It wasn't just laughter, it was a cruel reminder of joy twisted into anguish. In the distance, a carousel spun lazily, the horrid music it played grating on her nerves, a tune she thought she'd recognized, yet warped beyond recognition. She stumbled toward it, entranced yet horrified, her resolve teetering on the edge. "Emma! Noah!" she yelled again, the sound swallowed by the carnival's cruel symphony. Nearby, she caught sight of something moving. It was a figure, a girl, with pale, sad eyes that gleamed with haunting familiarity. Was it Emma? Her heart raced, hope igniting just as quick as it faded when the child turned away, revealing a face twisted in fear and sorrow. "Help! Help us, Mommy!" the girl screamed, before being engulfed by swirling shadows, vanishing as if she had never been there, leaving only echoes of her cries. "Emma!" The name tore from her lips, raw with panic. She dove forward, but the merry-go-round began spinning faster, grating metal clashing against rusted chains, generating an unbearable screech. "Join the fun! Join the fun!" The voices combined, swirling around her like a storm. It became alive, rising in intensity, merging with the howls of despair. Her children lost in that nightmare. Then the clown reappeared, its malevolent grin illuminated by the flickering lights of the carousel. "Are you having fun yet, Mommy?" "Get away from them!" she yelled, raw fury bubbling inside her. Fiercely pulling her strength together, she charged toward the laughter, her fists clenched tight. As she pushed through the carnival chaos, she began to fear that she was losing more than just her way. It felt like parts of her were dissipating into the madness that surrounded her. Would she find Emma and Noah, or become the next ghost in this twisted fairground of horrors? The world shifted again. The laughter twisted into howling despair, drowning out her thoughts. "Mommy?" Just as she reached the edge of the carousel, the ground shifted beneath her, causing her to lose her footing. Would darkness finally consume her? Or could she turn the tide against this nightmare? As she fell, dread gripped her heart like frozen steel, and she realized she wasn't sure if she wanted to know what awaited her below. She plummeted, and in the moments that seemed to stretch an eternity, all sound was swallowed by a silence that screamed in her ears. The ground was a black abyss, but as she descended, a shimmering mist swirled below, glinting with unnatural colors that flickered like flames. With a jolt, she hit the surface. It was softer than she expected, a strange watery expanse that rippled under her weight. She pushed herself up, wiping the film of sweat from her brow, heart still racing. What was this place? The carnival sounds were muffled above, but here it was still. The ground pulsed softly beneath her, as if it had a heartbeat. Shadows clung to her, whispering her name with sultry voices, pulling at her psyche. "Stay with us." "Let me go!" she cried out, shoving herself to her feet. Instinct told her to run, but the scenery rippling around her was unsettling. Walls of darkness surrounded her ebbing pool. Small, twisted faces emerged, stretching just beyond the veil of shadows, their eyes wide and murky. She instinctively backed away, and a series of splashes broke the surface as the figures surged closer, revealing their grotesque forms half submerged in the pool. They were far too familiar, the features warped but discernible. "Mommy?" one of the figures said, a tiny voice strained with fear. "Emma!" Her heart leapt. She felt the connection. "Is that you?" The figure's face twisted, morphing into a hideous grin. "Come play with us." "No!" She stumbled back, shaking her head. "Get away from them!" Above her, the carnival music erupted, booming like thunder. The shadows twisted, writhing in a macabre dance. "What do you want from me?" she shouted, feeling the terror seep into her bones. "Your choice," a deep voice echoed from the depths. "Choose who to save." Her heart skipped. A twisted grin crept across her face, mocking her anguish. Would she abandon one child for the other? Could she let one of them go? The question sliced through her. "Mommy!" the figures wailed, their voices overlapping in panic, a symphony of desperation. "Help us!" "No!" she screamed, pulling at her hair, the weight of the decision pressing down like chains. "I can't! I won't!" Then, from the corner of her eye, a flash of movement stood out. Another child, standing on the edge of the pool, rooted in the darkness. A boy with wild hair and bright, terrified eyes. Was it Noah? "Noah! Help me!" he cried, reaching out, pleading. The specters around him yanked at him, shadows clawing at his arms. The figures in the water began to dissolve, their twisted forms merging into the watery depths as the choice loomed over her like a black cloud. Could she bear the weight of deciding which child to save? "Choose!" The voice echoed again, sharper this time, laced with malice. Her breath hitched as the shadows pressed closer, the weight of the darkness closing in around her. Suddenly, the ground cracked, fissures sending waves of rippling chaos in every direction. "Mommy, please!" The desperation in Noah's voice pierced through her as the shadows encircled him tighter. With panic boiling in her chest, she lunged forward, fighting against the shadows that clawed and tugged at her limbs, their whispers rising into a surge of heedless screams. She didn't care about the cost, her hunger for her children's safety overwhelming everything. But as she reached for him, a chilling realization gripped her. She might lose it all. Would she save one, but doom the other? What horrors awaited as the shadows encroached deeper? In that moment, her mind screamed. What if the choice led her only further into despair? She lunged, her fingers brushing against the darkness, inching closer to Noah. The shadows hissed, grasping at her ankles like cold hands desperate to pull her down. "No!" she hissed through gritted teeth, fighting against the pull of despair. But the moment her fingers nearly grazed Noah's, everything shattered like glass. A blinding light exploded, and the pool erupted, drowning her in a wave of chaos. She gasped, the salty tang of water filling her lungs as she tumbled through the air. The world spun, colors clashing violently until they jumbled into an ocean of black. She landed again, hard, a sharp pain lancing through her leg. She winced, eyes fluttering open. Where was she now? The ground felt solid, but the ambient sounds were distorted. They cracked and echoed, creating an unsettling melody, like a broken record. "Mommy? Mommy?" That voice. It was somewhere near, a haunting whisper carrying through the air. She scrambled to her feet, heart pounding like a war drum. Ignoring the pain in her ankle, she searched the shadows. Shadows lurked everywhere, stretching around her like arms of a monster, pulling at her sanity. "Emma?" she called out, her own voice shaky and pleading. She felt a chill creep up her spine. "Right here!" Emma's voice chimed, oddly cheerful, cutting through the tense silence. But as she turned, her heart sank. Emma stood a few feet away, her back to her, gnawing on something. Something wet and dripping. "Emma, turn around!" Slowly, like a marionette moved by unseen strings, Emma turned. Her face, oh God, was smudged with crimson, a twisted smile carved across her features. "Look what I found!" "Emma, no!" Panic clawed at her throat. She took a step back. But Emma only giggled, the sound echoing eerily in the stillness. The child held up a small, severed doll head, its glassy eyes staring lifelessly into the abyss. "Do you want to play?" Emma asked, head cocked to the side, her expression devoid of innocence. Desperation surged, blending with horror. "We can go! We need to go!" she cried, twisting her hands together. "We have to find Noah!" Emma took a step forward, smiling wider. "But I like it here! It's so much fun!" "No! Stop this!" Frantic, she bolted away, heart hammering against her ribs, her body moving faster than her mind. The shadows seemed to cling to her, shrieking and wailing, the cacophony making her head spin. "Stay with us!" The chorus echoed in not just her ears, but inside her skull, chipping away at her resolve. A flicker of movement caught her eye, a dark shape shooting across her path, a shadow with familiar features. "Noah!" she screamed, urgency slicing through the panic fogging her mind. "Noah!" But as she turned to follow, she skidded to a halt. Two figures emerged from the haze. One, her son, wide-eyed with terror. The other, a tangle of shadows giving a sick, mocking grin. "Mommy!" Noah cried, reaching out toward her, mere inches from being devoured by the void. "Come to me!" she shouted, feeling torn apart at her core. She reached toward him, desperately trying to close the distance. The shadows hissed, a boiling mass of dark energy rallying around Noah. The ground trembled, as if it too was alive and feeding off their fear. "Choose! Choose who stays!" The voice thundered, reverberating through her bones. All the dreams she had ever held about protecting them shattered into fragments of dread. She couldn't leave him. She couldn't! "Hold on!" she screamed, stepping forward. But as she did, the reality flickered. Was it all slipping away again? And then she felt the tug, a violent force pulling at her heart, at her very soul. It was more than just the darkness. It was a decision that swirled mercilessly like a vortex. What if? The words barely made it out, drowned in fear. But before she could finish, shadows enveloped her, as it all vanished into a suffocating black. Muffled, echoing laughter filled her ears. It felt distant, yet clinging, weaving through her very being. Could she endure this torment? Would the next scream be her last? Or the beginning of something unspeakable? She gasped as the darkness faded away, a suffocating void giving way to bitter cold. Her breath came in shallow gasps, vapor swirling before her in the icy air. Where am I? Her mind reeled, struggling to process the abrupt change. Before her, disheveled trees loomed, their branches twisted and gnarled like clawed fingers. The moon peered down, casting an eerie glow on the landscape. "Emma!" Her voice wavered in the chilling silence, desperation flooding her chest. Behind her, the shadows whispered her name, tales of darkness advancing like hungry wolves. "Mommy?" Emma's voice floated near, but seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere all at once. "Emma?" she called again, fighting the urge to curl up and
Fright. Her heart thudded as she pushed through the underbrush, each snap of a twig echoing like a gunshot. Suddenly, she halted. In a clearing ahead, ghostly figures danced. They weaved in and out, their faces shrouded in mist, tossing their heads back in laughter that felt like glass shards scraping against her consciousness. The sound was both joyful and cruel, frozen in time like a nightmare playing over and over. "Mommy!" The pleading cry of both her children melded into the cacophony, sending fresh dread carving through her. "Help us!" Grappling with fear, she rushed into the clearing. The figures froze, their laughter dying in an instant. They turned their faceless heads toward her, eyes voids of despair, and she staggered back in horror. "Let them go!" she screamed, her voice rising above the stillness. Heavy silence dropped like a curtain, suffocating her plea. The shadows began to swirl, drawing closer, tightening their grip around her. They reached out, coiling over her limbs like serpents, and her resolve shuddered beneath the weight. "Stay with us," they groaned, hypnotic and taunting. Ignoring their call, she fought against the shadows, her body trembling, sweat trickling down her forehead. "Emma! Noah!" She flung herself forward, pushing past the grasping darkness, desperate to reach the silhouettes of her children. But as she did, the ground beneath her trembled violently. It split open, revealing a chasm that yawned like the mouth of a beast. She stumbled back, heart racing, and stared into the abyss. "Do you want to play?" A voice echoed, twisted and chiding, like a chorus member's rehearsing a chilling show. "Please, no, just give them back." The edges of the chasm glistened with a nightmarish light, beckoning her to step closer. Choose who stays, or face losing them both. The ground rumbled, the shadows now swirling in anticipation. Panic twisted her stomach as visions of her children flashed before her. Emma's laughter, Noah's bright smile. But the shadows offered a different kind of truth, grim and stark. Deep in her heart, she understood what they meant, the truth buried under layers of love and fear. "Save us, Mommy!" Emma's voice pierced the silence again, fragile as glass, filled with hope amid despair. The shadows lashed at her, desperate to drag her down. She could feel the tug, a sense of finality threatening to envelop her. In one fleeting moment, she closed her eyes. "I will not choose," she cried into the darkness, feeling the weight of the universe resting on her fragile heart. And then, a flash of light ignited the scene, too brilliant to comprehend, like a sun illuminating years of darkness. But when her eyes opened again, she gasped. She was back in the grim reality of the pool's edge, Emma and Noah gone, only the remnants of shadows slipping into the corners of her vision. "What have I done?" An unsettling whisper curled around her, reverberating through her mind. "You've awakened us." With her heart hammering, she looked around, fear crawling
Across her skin, the remnants felt alive, watching. What had she truly released? And were her kids truly gone? The night still echoed with laughter as the shadows crept back toward her, hungry for her next choice. The shadows swarmed around her like a thick fog, clinging to her skin, whispering promises that twisted her heart in knots. "You've awoken us," they breathed, their voices curling into her mind like creeping vines, suffocating her spirit. Sarah stumbled back, heart racing, as the memories flooded her. Emma's smile, Noah's laughter. They didn't belong here. They were safe. The sudden realization sent shockwaves through her. Could she truly lose them forever? "No!" she shouted. The word exploded from her chest, infused with desperation. "I will find them." Panic ignited a fire inside her, pushing her to run, to escape the suffocating whispers that hazed her mind. She sprinted toward the edge of the chasm, unsure if it held more horrors or potential salvation. "Leave them be!" she shouted into the void, the space reverberating with her defiance. The shadows recoiled slightly, shrieking. A cacophony of wounded wails filled her ears. Her heart raced. Was it working? Just beyond the flickering darkness, she thought she caught a glimpse of movement. "Emma! Noah!" She took a step forward, determination now outweighing her fear. The chasm trembled beneath her, quaking as though the ground itself was in agony. "You must choose," the shadows hissed, their tone menacing yet desperate as they clawed at her. "What will you sacrifice?" Sweat dripped down her brow as the figures twisted, almost merging into one malevolent mass. "No, I won't choose. You won't take my children from me." In that moment, she felt a shift, a surge of energy like a pulse radiating from deep within her, and she channeled that energy toward the darkness surrounding her. "Let them go," she commanded fiercely. The shadows started to recoil, as if her words were a dagger thrusting into their essence. Suddenly, the laughter grew louder, echoing around her, a haunting melody filled with malice. It reverberated, painting the air with despair. But just then, above the chaos, she heard it, her children's voices, faint but clear, cutting through the tumult, calling for her. "Mommy, help!" Hope surged in her chest, igniting her to push against the stranglehold of the shadows. "I'm coming," she shouted back. With every beat of her heart, she felt herself resonating with a fierce love that pierced the veil of darkness. The shadows writhed, twisting into agony, their grip slackening, overwhelmed by her luminous defiance. They shrieked and howled, their clamor echoing. Then, silence. The air grew still as the echoes faded into nothingness, leaving Sarah standing alone at the precipice. She looked around, breathing heavily, her mind racing. Where were they? Panic gripped her. But the silence was suddenly broken by a flicker of movement. A whisper of light in the shadows caught her eye. "Mommy!" Her heart flipped as she recognized the familiar voice amidst the echoes.
Without another thought, she sprinted toward the sound, pushing past the darkness that tried to tether her back to despair. Bursting through a wall of shadows, she broke into a clearing lit by a soft glow. There, framed in the light, stood Emma and Noah, their faces alight with relief, their innocent laughter weaving through the air like a balm. "Mommy!" they shouted, "Thank God!" A wave of overwhelming love hit her, her heart soaring as she reached for them. She scooped them up into her arms, pulling them tightly against her chest, feeling the warmth of their bodies break the chill that had wrapped around her. No words could express the relief flooding through her like sunlight breaking through a storm. "I thought I lost you," she whispered, tearing up as she hugged them tightly. But the shadows outside the circle of light hissed angrily, swirling in a vast tide, angry and unyielding. "You shouldn't have come for them," one voice rumbled, an echo of wrath that sent fresh shivers down her spine. "Let them go." Sarah stood firm, her heart torn between fear and the fury within. She wouldn't lose them again. The darkness surged, but with every ounce of her courage, she spread her arms wide. "You don't scare me. They are mine, and I won't let you take them." A radiant light emanated from her, amplifying like the sun overtaking the dark. The shadows recoiled, twisting backward, hissing and squirming in terror. "Stay to the light," Sarah urged her kids. "Don't let them in." With a deafening roar, the shadows surged, attempting to engulf her once more. But the light exploded outward, swallowing the obsidian mass. "You have no hold over us," she proclaimed, and in one final courageous step, she pulled her kids deeper into the radiance. Flashes of memories seeped into her mind, happy family moments, bedtime stories, laughter around the dinner table. With each precious thought, the light grew brighter. The shadows writhed in agony, shrieks echoing around her, until, with one final scream, they were pulled away, vanishing into thin air, as if the very essence of darkness had been shattered. And then, silence. Breathless, Sarah opened her eyes, realizing they stood back in their living room, the familiar warmth enveloping them. The evening sun streamed in through the window, casting a golden hue across their home. "Noah! Emma!" She hugged them once more, feeling their warmth melt her earlier dread away. "Mommy!" they giggled, blissfully unaware. The shadows were gone. The fears that had plagued her evaporated with their vanishing. They were safe. As she looked down at her children, an unwavering resolve filled her heart. Whatever dark secrets lay ahead, she would face them head-on. She would protect them at all costs, for love is the strongest light there is. And so, with a fluttering heart and new hope, they embraced an unknown future together, hand in hand, knowing they could conquer any darkness that came their way. Together. This was not just the end, but a new beginning. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will send shivers down your spine. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let us know you're enjoying this wild ride. I want to hear from you in the comments. Flood that section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.